The date was March 27, 1977, a day etched forever in the annals of aviation history. Not for a triumph of engineering, but for a catastrophe of unimaginable proportions. On the island of Tenerife, a dense, unforgiving fog played a leading role in the deadliest accident the world of aviation had ever witnessed. Two Boeing 747 jumbo jets, colossal marvels of human ingenuity, were tragically transformed into instruments of destruction. One was KLM Flight 4805, the other, Pan Am Flight 1736. They were never meant to be on that runway at the same time, especially not under those conditions. The fog that day was thick, reducing visibility to mere hundreds of feet. Imagine trying to navigate a football field, blindfolded, with another equally disoriented giant also on the move. The KLM jet, believing it had clearance, began its takeoff roll. The Pan Am jet was still on the same runway, taxiing to an exit, shrouded in that dense, opaque blanket of water droplets. The pilots couldn't see each other until it was far, far too late. The impact was cataclysmic. A fiery inferno erupted, consuming metal, fuel, and tragically human lives. In total, 583 souls perished. This event sent shockwaves through the global aviation community. It forced a painful, introspective look at safety protocols, communication standards, and the critical role of weather conditions, especially low-visibility phenomena like fog. So what is this ethereal substance we call fog? It seems so simple, yet it holds such power. At its core, fog is merely a cloud with a terrestrial address. It's composed of tiny liquid water droplets, or sometimes, if it's cold enough, tiny ice crystals. These droplets are incredibly small, often thinner than a human hair. But when billions upon billions of them gather together, they can obscure our vision, transforming familiar landscapes into mysterious, almost alien terrains. They scatter light, making it difficult to see anything beyond a short distance. The formation of fog is a delicate dance of atmospheric conditions. First, you need water vapor. Our atmosphere is full of it, an invisible gas. Second, this water vapor needs to cool down. As air cools, its ability to hold water vapor decreases. This cooling often happens at night, when the ground radiates heat away into space, chilling the air layer closest to it. Or it can happen when warm, moist air moves over a cold surface. The third crucial ingredient is condensation nuclei. These are microscopic particles floating in the air, dust, pollen, salt from the ocean, or even tiny pollutants. Water vapor needs something to condense upon. These particles act as tiny seeds for water droplets to form. Finally, if enough of these tiny droplets form and remain suspended in the air near the ground, voila, you have fog. Not all fogs are created equal. They form through different mechanisms and present unique challenges. First, there's radiation fog. This type often forms on clear, calm nights. The ground, having absorbed solar radiation during the day, begins to radiate this heat back into space. As the ground cools, it chills the layer of air directly above it. If this air is moist and cools to its dew point, water vapor condenses into tiny droplets, and radiation fog is born. It often starts shallow, perhaps just a few feet deep, looking like a ghostly blanket over fields. Radiation fog is particularly common in valleys and low-lying areas. Cold, dense air tends to drain downhill, pooling in these depressions. This makes valleys prone to becoming filled with thick fog, sometimes lingering well into the morning until the sun's warmth can evaporate it. Then we have advection fog. Advection fog forms when warm, moist air moves over a colder surface like a cool body of water or snow-covered ground. Let's journey further into the diverse world of fog. Consider upslope fog or hill fog. This type forms when moist air is gently forced to rise up the slope of a hill or mountain. As the air ascends, it expands due to lower atmospheric pressure at higher altitudes. This expansion causes the air to cool. If it cools to its dew point, clouds form. When these clouds are in contact with the ground along the slope, we call it upslope fog. It's essentially a cloud that's touching the mountainside, enshrouding it in mist. Next, we encounter a particularly treacherous variant, freezing fog. This occurs when fog forms in temperatures that are below freezing, 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. The water droplets in the fog remain in a liquid state even though they are supercooled. However, when these supercooled droplets come into contact with a surface that is at or below freezing, like an aircraft wing, a runway, or a tree branch, they freeze instantly upon impact. Section 5, Echoes in the Mist, Tragic Tales from Foggy Skies. The Tenerife disaster, while the deadliest, is sadly not an isolated incident where fog played a critical, tragic role. Consider the Linate Airport disaster in Milan, Italy on October 8, 2001. A Scandinavian airline system, SAS McDonnell Douglas MD-87, taking off in thick fog, collided with a Cessna Citation business jet that had mistakenly taxied onto the active runway. The visibility was reported to be less than 200 meters. The collision was catastrophic. The MD-87, already airborne, sustained severe damage, but managed to continue for a short distance before crashing into a baggage handling building. All 110 people on board the SAS flight, the 4 occupants of the Cessna, and 4 ground personnel were killed, totaling 118 fatalities. Investigations revealed a cascade of failures, including non-functioning ground radar, inadequate runway markings, and unclear signage, all exacerbated by the dense fog that prevented air traffic controllers and pilots from visually identifying the looming danger. The fog created a deadly blind spot. When visibility vanishes, more lessons unlearned. The insidious nature of fog extends beyond major commercial airline disasters. It also impacts general aviation, cargo flights, and military operations with equally devastating potential. Smaller aircraft, often operating with less sophisticated navigation and landing aids than their larger commercial counterparts, can be particularly vulnerable. On January 26, 2020, the world mourned the loss of basketball legend Kobe Bryant, his daughter Gianna, and 7 others when their helicopter crashed into a hillside in Calabasas, California. The primary cause cited by the National Transportation Safety Board was the pilot's decision to continue flight under visual flight rules into instrument meteorological conditions, which included thick fog and low clouds. The pilot likely experienced spatial disorientation in the dense fog, losing control of the aircraft. This tragic event underscored the immense pressure pilots can feel, sometimes self-imposed, to complete a flight despite deteriorating weather. Piercing the veil: technological triumphs over fog. The grim lessons learned from fog-related accidents have spurred remarkable advancements in aviation safety and technology. One of the most significant developments has been the Instrument Landing System, or ILS. This ground-based system uses radio beams to provide pilots with precise lateral and vertical guidance to the runway. Even when pilots can't see the runway, their instruments can guide them safely down the approach path, sometimes to visibilities as low as a few hundred feet. Building upon ILS, we now have sophisticated auto-land systems. These marvels of engineering allow an aircraft to essentially land itself in very low visibility conditions, including dense fog. The autopilot, guided by the ILS and other sensors like radio altimeters, can manage the aircraft's speed, descent, and alignment with the runway, right through to touchdown and even rollout. These systems require highly trained crews, specially certified aircraft, and airports equipped with the necessary ground infrastructure. They represent a huge leap in maintaining operational capability, even when the weather outside is far from ideal. The horizon ahead? Innovations for clearer skies. While our current technologies are impressive, the quest to further mitigate the dangers of fog in aviation continues. One promising area is Enhanced Flight Vision Systems, or EFVS. These systems use sensors such as forward-looking infrared cameras to penetrate fog, haze, rain, and snow, providing pilots with an image of the outside world on a head-up display or a head-down display. This allows pilots to see the runway environment much earlier in the approach than with natural vision alone, improving safety and operational efficiency in low visibility. Imagine a pilot looking through their windscreen in dense fog but seeing a clear infrared outline of the runway and its surroundings projected right in front of them. That's the power of EFVS. Some systems even allow pilots to continue an approach to a lower altitude than standard instrument procedures would permit, based on the enhanced vision. This can reduce diversions and delays. The next step beyond EFVS is Synthetic Vision Systems, or SVS, which create a computer-generated three-dimensional image of the outside world based on GPS data and a terrain database, providing a clear view regardless of weather. Embracing the challenge, a future of safer flights. The story of aviation and fog is one of constant challenge and ingenious response. From the devastating wake-up call of Tenerife to the cutting-edge vision systems of today, we have come a long way. fog, in its silent, obscuring power, remains a formidable natural phenomenon. It will continue to test our ingenuity, our procedures, and our resolve. Yet, the trajectory of aviation safety, particularly concerning weather-related hazards, is undeniably upward. Each incident, however tragic, has fueled a relentless pursuit of understanding and improvement, a testament to our collective commitment to making the skies safer for everyone. The future of navigating foggy conditions doesn't rely on a single magic bullet. Instead, it will be built upon a multi-layered approach. This includes even more precise weather forecasting, allowing for better anticipation and planning.